What's up, Canes fans? Peter Ariz here, coming at you live, instant reaction as Miami moves to 10-1 on the season, bouncing back after the bye week, after the loss to Georgia Tech, with a big win today against Wake Forest, 42-14. And we got to get into the top story of the day. The defense bounces back in a major way here after an up and down first half there, had the busted coverage for the long touchdown, early in the game there on Wake Forest's first possession. And then, of course, the kickoff return for touchdown, 100 yards for Wake Forest. And Miami's defense really makes some adjustments. Lance Gidger, you got to give him credit. A lot more 4-3 today as opposed to the 4-2-5 that we've seen as Miami's base alignment for most of this season. Akeem Mesidor playing more on the edge for the Hurricanes. The run defense, the pass defense, again, both run and pass for Miami, other than that long touchdown early in the game for Micah Mays, South Florida kid, 36-yard touchdown. They held Wake Forest under 100 yards through the air and under 100 yards on the ground. So give them credit. Miami's offense was a little bit out of sorts at points during this game, and Miami's defense kept giving them opportunities. Jordan Lyle, awesome at the end of the game here. So I'll get into some of the questions, some of the comments, but a tale of two halves, and we've seen this from time to time for Miami this season. We saw it at the USF game. Obviously, the Cal game was a tale of three quarters and then one quarter pretty much there. But we've seen this from Miami at times during this season. So, again, Miami wins 42-14. Next week, you head up to Syracuse, and you need to obviously win that game to secure your spot in the ACC championship. But I think we can all be pretty happy about how this team showed themselves here in the second half. Appreciate everyone who's on here. Again, instant reaction right after this game. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Now, Canes Cat C305 says it. Miami's over-under before the season was 9.5. They get their 10th win today, and you got to acknowledge that this is 10 wins in Mario Cristobal's third season at Miami after the roster that he was left here, the way that he's rebuilt this thing. Is it always perfect? No. Do you have Don Shula coaching these guys? No, you don't. But at the end of the day, the way that he's built this roster and the way that they have navigated this season, coming off the bye here, really good performance for that defense, which, again, we know that's been the biggest issue all year long. This has been the number one rated offense in the country by a lot of different metrics. So you need that defense to do its job. And today they picked the offense up in a big way. So get into some questions here, man. Listen, fresh 3-5-4-2. Jordan Lyle was awesome today. He was a difference maker. Philippe, Syracuse, he says, got to deal with Syracuse in the cold. My man, they play in a dome, so they don't have to deal with the cold. It'll be nice and the air will be nice and regulated. The temperature will be probably a little bit cooler than room temperature, but they're in a dome up there, so no weather to worry about, no temperature issues to deal with. Mike Wheatley said it was kind of scary in the first half, but we lit it up on offense and defense. Lance Guidry, look, not a great season for this defense, but Lance Guidry, I think, deserves a lot of credit for how that defense bounced back today. Mish Powell obviously had that pick six. The defensive line was awesome stopping the run. There was a lot of talk about the slow mesh, whether or not that would give Miami's defense issues, and a lot of adjustments in terms of snap counts up front. You saw a lot more Akeem Mesidor, like I said, on the outside. We've seen him a lot inside, but Ahmad Moten, he had that sack, but even before that sack, was getting consistent pressure up the middle, and his size is just something different at that spot that Miami's really been lacking this season. CJ Clark, number 5 on senior day, the guy who comes over from NC State before the season, has had some good moments this year, but I think today was probably his best game as a Hurricane. So great to see his contribution as well. Craig says, "Go Canes! I'll take the dub." This was a great game overall. Giovanni Gonzalez says, need Cam to be consistently sharp and decisive like the first drive. Unstoppable when we play that way. Look, Cam didn't have his best game today. The first drive, everyone's pointing to that. those are scripted, right? So if you don't go out there and have a successful first drive, then there's some questions to ask. But those first drives are scripted. As you get into the middle of the game there, they were not sharp. Ward, he missed a dump down to Fletcher near the goal line there, probably had a walk-in touchdown, or would have probably scored or gotten right down to the 1 or 2 yard line there. So that was a missed opportunity. Obviously had that flip pass to Arroyo. It was intended to, missed him there. He missed some, a couple of the throws, had the ball to Arroyo near the goal line that hit the ground before he had an opportunity to make a play on it. Arroyo, probably should have made that catch, up the seam. I believe it was a third down, but the ball was thrown a little bit behind him. I'm not here to nitpick on Ward's performance. But the point is, he was not perfect today, and the defense did their job, and the run game did their job to pick him up. Big run by Mark Fletcher to set them up for a score, in that third quarter. Just looking at the numbers. Jordan Lyle, 115 yards on 7 carries, had that 61-yarder in the fourth quarter. Damian Martinez didn't have, a spectacular game by the numbers, but was consistently getting downhill and picking up yards for Miami. Had a 13-yard run. Mark Fletcher, again, had that big 30-yard run to set Miami up near the goal line. Cam Ward was 27 for 38, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had the touchdown late to Jacoby George there, who had a really good game for the Hurricanes. He had both receptions for touchdown, had 7 catches, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Arroyo, 6 catches, 79 yards for him. Restrepo with 5 catches, 45 yards. It's funny to say he had a quiet day with 45 yards on 5 receptions, but not a prolific performance from him, I would say. But again, pretty mundane effort offensively as Miami now moves to 10-1, 6-1 in conference. But that defense, Kiko Mauanoa, shout out to him. I think they played him. Again, Wake Forest wasn't trying to push the ball downfield very much. So you didn't see him isolated in coverage much, but he was getting downhill more, made a lot of really, really solid tackles today. There were some missed tackles in the open field in that first half, but again, I think that second half performance was really, really solid. Mish Powell, man, great read on that blitz, on the screen pass, that he ends up, taking the other way. Almost had another pick, had another pass deflection as well. So really, really good performance from him. Ruben Bain had that 4th down sack. So that was, one of the biggest moments of the game as Wake Forest was in Miami territory driving there. But really some solid, not performances, but guys stepping up in big moments. Cam Pruitt had a tackle for loss today, the freshman. And again, they were playing a more of a 4-3 alignment today. So more snaps for him. Jalen Alderman, more snaps. Saw Chase Smith in there late as well. So yeah, man, you got to give Coach Guidry and his credit unit and his unit credit. Sorry. You have to look at the breakdown that you had, right? OJ Frederick in that first possession tries to pass along his guy. Alderman didn't end up staying with him. He didn't pass it along to the next guy. So yes, the communication error, the guys getting set up was not perfect in the first half, but whatever they went back and did at halftime adjustment wise was great. So Abutero 71 says, please let them play Lyle more. He just looks different. I agree, man. That burst. And we saw with AJ Allen at times when you are playing 2 bigger backs as you are in Martinez and Fletcher, and both of them bring a lot to the table. But when you bring in someone else that has a little bit more jiggy, a little bit more juice to them, it looks different. And sometimes the defense is kind of, they've been used to playing a more physical style against some of these big backs. So it really gives the defense a different look. So I would love to see Lyle continue to get more touches here. So just going through these comments here. How about that defense? Yeah, Bama, that was an awesome performance. Brandon says should have had a deep touchdown to George. Looked like he could have been caught layout. That was a tough one. The camera angle was a little bit deceiving. It did look like it kind of went through Jacoby's hands, but if you look at it from another angle, I don't know if it's a little bit outstretched. Yes, would have been great to see him lay out and make that catch, but obviously it did not happen. Primetime Rambo, appreciate the support, man. Thank you for being on here. Team is better when they play the tight end. Look, they've used Arroyo, I think, pretty consistently all year long. And at the end of the day, he's been open. It's up to Cam to hit him. So a lot of the times, guys, yes, there are plays that are, you have your primary intended receiver, but it's on the quarterback to look for him. He was obviously going for him today, and there was a couple other opportunities that again, the one that was a little bit behind him, that still should have probably been caught. Arroyo would tell you that himself, but really good performance from him today. Derek Huck says Jacoby George, the downfield blocking menace. Yep, he was awesome a few times today there. Boyo in Hamburg says the defense only got to the game after the pick six. That was definitely an energizing moment for them. But I think you got to give them credit, man. Run defense was solid the entire game. You gave up that big pass play early in the game. They were 3 for 4. This was a stat that I thought was very telling, and they were talking about it on the post-game show on 560. But Wake Forest started 3 for 4, on third down. They finished after that 4 for 13. So after they started 3 for 4, Miami's defense held them 1 for 9 on third down conversions. So that was huge. Got off the field a ton. Shaboy Kane says D played ball. Arroyo stepped up big. Mike Wesley says, and yeah, man, he was awesome today. The run after the catch was great. Cam Pruitt, as Giovanni says, yes, the speed makes a difference, man. The sideline to sideline and his ability to get downhill, and great play for him in the backfield. Ralph says we're defending Guidry from the fans. Personally, I don't think he deserves it. Look, man, we haven't been defending him the last few weeks. We've said the defense needs to step up. At the end of the day, the performance we saw today, what are we going to say? That the defense didn't do their job? So look, I'm not going to sit on here and call for people's heads. That was maybe what I would do back in the day. But we've said the last month plus, more than a month, right? Because the defense hasn't been good for a latter part of the season. But we've said there needed to be changes, man. We've said there needed to be adjustments made. Credit them. Because you know what? Today they switched the alignment from a 4-2-5 that we normally line up into a 4-3. They switched some personnel up front, Mesidor outside. You saw some Justin Scott's snaps, Ahmad Moten a lot more snaps. So what are we going to do? Say that Guidry didn't do a good job today? I think they did as good as they could have done today after that, breakdown in the first drive of the game. They really held their own. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to sit on here and say that they didn't do a good job after what I just saw there. Brandon says, since DeMario is warming up, do we expect him back next week? Look, I never expected him back this week, even with what Cristobal was saying. Is it next week? That's kind of been my target date for the last month or so, because I would like to get his feet wet, even if he's not playing or starting or playing a majority of the snaps next week. Would love to get his feet wet, get his speed of the game back up to par before you get to the ACC championship. You got to take care of business though next week, because this is a high flying Syracuse offense. So let's see what else here. Just getting through some of these comments. Canes Cats Heathrow 5 says, question of Pete, who showed improvements to you today on offense or defense? I mean, look, defensively, I think it was more of a, as a unit, they played better. But I defensively, I think Kiko Mauanoa stood out to me. I said it, I was watching the game with some buddies, and I said multiple times, he made some really nice tackles downhill, again, playing more to his style of play. But it was just less guys out of position, right? And I think, again, it's tough to pin that on one player, when it comes to guys lining up and all that. But today, that's what I saw. Ralph says, sorry, Peter, we're not giving Guidry a pass. We haven't given him a pass all year either, man. Again, I'm going to say it again. We've said here on Canes Insight the defense needed to be better. But today, what are we going to say, man? They stepped up. They did their jobs. So, wow, man. Appreciate Crash Light. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much for the contribution. You know, we go live after every game. We do the instant reactions. CanesInsight.com. If you guys aren't signed up, completely free, join the discussion there. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. And then obviously we go daily, Monday through Friday. And now we're coming down the home stretch here for recruiting. So we're going to have a ton of updates, hot and heavy for you every day. D-Money bringing the heat on the bank and all the other updates he brings on the website. So, you know, appreciate the support, man. Once again, Crash Light, shout out to you. Matt Williams says offense struggling to score points, a lot of yards, but not many touchdowns the last couple of weeks. Final score doesn't show it. Look, the offense was not their best today. The defense picked them up a couple of weeks ago, as you had the bye week last week, but a couple of weeks ago against Georgia Tech, they weren't super sharp either. So, yes, need to continue to, try to finish these drives off. I think Cam Ward is probably going to tell himself there's some plays he wish he had back today. Again, that dump down to Fletcher really stuck out to me. Ended up getting a field goal on that drive. Andy Borregales hit the field goal, but that dump down he missed. It ended up almost being a crossbody throw for an interception. That would not have been good whatsoever. But again, by the numbers, we're talking about how the defense hasn't been great all year. They had a great game today. The offense has been great all year. They did not have a great game, obviously, against Georgia Tech. They had their moments today. I mean, look, the offense still, taking a look at the stats here, 508 yards. I agree. Obviously, you had the pick six, so it was 35 points scored by the offense. So, yeah, you could have finished off some more drives. They got a little stagnant there in the middle of the game, second quarter into the third quarter. But, 42-14, man. You cover the spread. Good teams win. Great teams cover. So, again, sorry, guys. I'm just catching up on some of these comments. Appreciate the comment here. Canes fan 617. Hit those likes and subscribe, please. It helps us. And yeah, that's all I pretty much got, guys. I mean, look, if you have any more questions, drop them in there. Any other comments, I'll bring them up here. But solid performance from Miami today. Perfect? No. This is not a perfect team. But you've now hit the double-digit win mark in Mario Cristobal's third season. First double-digit win season for Miami since 2016, 2017 season, or 2017 season there with Mark Richt. You ended up losing, obviously, the ACC championship game against Clemson, and then the Orange Bowl game against Wisconsin. But beggars can't be choosers. I'll put it that way. This is a season that is continuing to put Miami on the right path. Yes, a lot of questions still. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? You have to replace one of the best in the country. You're going to be losing a lot of production at big time positions. But Miami's in the race here. Got to win this next game against Syracuse to get to the ACC championship, clinch your spot. But you're a couple wins away here from being in the big dance, being a team that has a bye if you win these next two games, and being one of the last 8 teams in the country. So what else can we ask for? Appreciate everyone for being on here. Thank you so much. We just surpassed 1,000. So if you guys are just hopping on here, I'm about to wrap this up, but you can check out the video replay as soon as I hit end on this stream. You can go back and watch my thoughts. Canes win 42-14 against Wake Forest, move to 10-1 on the season. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Appreciate everyone who was on here today. Go Canes.